Kelly Cochran never looked like a killer. She didn't hide in the shadows. She didn't live like a recluse. And she didn't raise her voice when she lied. Instead, she smiled. In photographs, Kelly appeared relaxed, almost gentle. She was the kind of person who could sit across from you, look you in the eye, and make you feel as though you were the most important person in the room. For years, people believed her. They believed she was a survivor, a woman shaped by trauma, someone who had been hurt far more than she had ever hurt anyone else. But that image was a lie, because behind the soft voice and open expressions was someone entirely different. A woman capable of planning murder, executing it without hesitation, and living comfortably with the aftermath. This is not the story of a crime of passion. It is not a moment of rage or desperation. This is the story of careful manipulation. And a woman nobody feared. Until it was far too late. Iron River, Michigan is a small, quiet town tucked deep into the Upper Peninsula. Surrounded by thick forests and long, winding roads, Iron River is the kind of place where silence feels natural. The winters are harsh. The population is small. And violent crime is rare. Neighbors recognize each other's cars. Strangers stand out. In a town like this, trust is not something you earn. It's something you're simply given. Which is why, when news surfaced that someone had vanished, not ran away, not moved, but disappeared, the idea of foul play felt almost impossible. People assumed the simplest explanation. They always do. Because believing in evil feels uncomfortable. Especially when it wears a friendly face. Kelly Cochran arrived in Iron River with a story. A story about hardship. About abuse. About loss. She spoke openly about her difficult past, fractured relationships, emotional pain, and betrayal. To those who listened, Kelly seemed honest. She was expressive, well-spoken, and deeply convincing. Kelly married Jason Cochran, a quiet man who preferred isolation over company. Together, they lived in a small house outside town, secluded, distant, and almost invisible. To outsiders, their life appeared peaceful. Private, yes, but not suspicious. Kelly soon became known around town. She made friends quickly. She formed connections with ease. And among those connections was a man named Chris Regan. Chris Regan didn't live the kind of life that suggested he would disappear. He was stable. Close with his family. Especially his father. Chris was known as responsible, not impulsive, not secretive. When Chris met Kelly, he believed her story. Like so many others had. Kelly told him she was trapped in an unhappy marriage. That she was struggling. That she needed understanding. And Chris offered exactly that. What he didn't know, what almost no one knew, was that Kelly's marriage wasn't ending. It was expanding. She was maintaining relationships that existed on lies. And managing them with remarkable control. But control is fragile. And eventually, it breaks. In October 2014, Chris Regan vanished. No phone calls. No messages. No trace. Kelly told police that Chris had left town voluntarily. She claimed he wanted a fresh start. That he had spoken about leaving before. But nothing supported that story. Chris had left behind his belongings. His vehicle. And most importantly, his family. As days turned into weeks, concern escalated. Chris's father contacted police repeatedly. He insisted something was wrong. He knew his son. And the person Kelly described was not the son he raised. When investigators finally began looking closer, Kelly was cooperative. Almost too cooperative. She talked freely. Sometimes excessively. Her timeline shifted slightly with each retelling. Minor details changed: dates, conversations, locations. At first, these inconsistencies seemed trivial. But patterns began to emerge. Kelly showed an unusual comfort when speaking about death. Her tone didn't match the gravity of the conversation. To some investigators, it felt rehearsed. As if she had practiced what to say, but forgotten how to react. Eventually, police requested permission to search Kelly and Jason's property. Kelly agreed. She always did. Behind the property, near an outdoor fire pit, investigators discovered something unexpected. Burned fragments. Bone. At first, it was unclear what they were looking at. Then forensic analysis confirmed the truth. The remains were human. Suddenly, this was no longer a missing person case. It was a homicide. And Kelly Cochran was at the center of it. Once confronted with forensic evidence, Kelly's demeanor changed. Not emotionally, but strategically. She began revealing information, slowly, carefully. Kelly admitted that Chris Regan hadn't left town. He had died. But even then, the full truth remained hidden. What investigators were uncovering was not a crime fueled by panic, but one built on planning, manipulation, and control. And worst of all, this was only the beginning. Kelly Cochran wasn't a monster lurking in darkness. She was present, articulate, and seemingly harmless. She had learned how to turn sympathy into protection, and trust into a weapon. In Iron River, no one suspected a thing. Because evil doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it smiles. Sometimes it listens. And sometimes it waits. Next time on Crime Chronicles, the investigation deepens and the truth becomes far more disturbing than anyone imagined.